he gives us his picture of what I call the playful sage, right? He says that, and it's similar to Chazal's concept of, kiso kaso vikosa. You can
Hmm.
come to know a person by how they spend their money, how they behave when they're angry, and when they drink. So he's
Hmm.
saying drinking is really just an amplifier. He says, whatever you
Hmm.
are, you become more of it, right? So he
Hmm.
says, if you're a type of person who has, vices or a negative disposition, drinking will magnify that. But he says, but for a sage, someone who's really worked on himself, it says it's like someone who knows how to swim and someone who doesn't know how to swim. So when the
Hmm.
water comes, the guy who knows how to swim, he'll float to the surface so he can swim fine. The other person, unfortunately, will sink. So he's saying
Hmm.
for the sage, it's no problem. And he says the wise man becomes a more genial person after indulging in wine than when
Hmm.
he is sober. And accordingly, we should not be wrong in asserting on this ground, as well as on those others, that he will get drunk. We must remark furthermore that the countenance of wisdom is not scowling and severe, contracted by deep thought and depression of spirit, but on the contrary, cheerful and tranquil, full of joy and gladness, feelings which often prompt a man to be sportive and jocular in a perfectly refined way. This is an old translation, so you could probably just say playful. Sportive and jocular. Such sportiveness is in harmony with a dignified self-respect, a harmony like that of a lyre tuned to give forth a single melody by a blending of answering notes. And then he adds, Moses, at all events, holiest of men, shows us that sport and merriment is the height of wisdom. And he goes on to show that he says that Yitzchak, the name Yitzchak is laughter itself. And he
Hmm.
believes that that's Moshe's way of conveying to us that the sage embodies laughter, something like that. He told us at the beginning of this treatise he wasn't going to bring in Moshe Rabbeinu, right?
Hmm.
That seems to be an aside that he almost couldn't help himself, right? Which may be even a tipping of the hand. That might be Philo saying, yeah, this argument is pretty compelling to me, right?
Yeah,
Because if wine is really just an enhancer, right?
oh yeah, so I'm actually really surprised. The thing that's surprising to me is this equation of wisdom and a smart person being also someone who's there to, like, I wouldn't necessarily say have a good time, but they're kind and they're nice, which is like, I don't know that we throughout all times and all places there's this equation of, well, if you're wise, you clearly are kind. That's pretty surprising to me.
Right, he's going even further. He's saying not just kind, but if you're wise, you're having a good time.
Mm,
Not in
yeah.
the sense that your goal is just to be silly and have fun, but he says, how could you not have a good time? Meaning the world is a beautiful, amazing place. And if you're
Yeah.
wise enough to recognize that, you should be having a good time.
Yeah.
He says, but he's tapping into something which I think every generation deals with, which is that, you have to be careful what your picture of righteousness looks like.
Mm,
For a lot of us, a righteous man is extremely severe and extremely tense. He says, why should he
exactly.
be tense?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. And he says that that only comes even more to the fore when he drinks. So at least in this argument, he is saying makes perfect sense.